We listened, we heard you, and we're kicking off 2019 with new merch. We finished the diamonds, we got pink lasagna, Animation Nation, your favorite Roundtable host, cartoons are cool, and so much more, with more on the way. Pick up some merch, it does support the artists who made these designs. Link in the description. Welcome back to Crystal Clear. I'm AwestruckVox, and Escapism wasn't the episode we were expecting. Who would have thought the penultimate episode of Season 5 would have been a melon adventure? One that pushes forward the story, but still very different when we least expect it. Now, unlike most of Steven Universe's audience, I actually really enjoyed this episode. I was happy to see the Watermelon Stevens again. And considering the circumstances of this episode, they definitely did the best they could. But what do I mean by circumstances? Well, I believe this episode's premise and execution was to work around its budget due to the amount of voice actors gone through the last few episodes, and what will be gone through in the season finale, which costs as much as 4 regular episodes, due to its 44-minute runtime. Ever since Maid of Honor, we've had a much larger cast than usual. Yeah, we got Garnet, Amethyst, and Pearl, and yeah, Dee Dee voices Yellow Pearl and Blue Pearl, but we've also had Bismuth, Ruby, Sapphire, Yellow Diamond, Blue Diamond, White Diamond, who also shares the voice of White Pearl, Nephrite, whose voice actress also voiced the Jade Fusion, those weird Thomas the Tank Engine gems, Connie, Stevani, Greg, and even Susan Egan as the Pebbles. Now, this really isn't the fault of the Crewniverse, and I don't think hire cheaper voice actors is a fair argument. Steven Universe has the perfect voice cast. I couldn't imagine anyone else voicing these characters. The fault of that stuff kinda just lies on Cartoon Network and the budget they give their shows. And if you're in the know, Cartoon Network does not have the biggest budget for any of their properties. They very much like to cut corners when possible. So this entire episode only had 2 voices, Zach Callison as Steven and Grace Rolick as Connie. But hey, I'm fine with it. It was a breather, a calm before the storm. And I found the politics of Watermelon Island fascinating, but we're not here to defend this episode, we're here to break it down. It was also the last episode outlined by series writer Matt Burnett, before he left to work on Craig of the Creek. Matt Burnett claimed that before the episode aired, he never saw anything of it beyond its outline. The final product was a complete mystery to him. So the storyboards, the voice acting, the music, all of it was his first time seeing too. Now, this episode was storyboarded by Joe Johnston and Adam Muto. The latter was the showrunner for Adventure Time after Pendleton Ward left, and he's great friends with Rebecca Sugar, as they both worked on the show together. Muto initially revealed he storyboarded an episode of Steven Universe on the podcast, where he was joined by Ian Jones-Cordy, Ben Levin, and Matt Burnett. Muto said the episode wasn't lore heavy, and well, he was right. But this episode must have been storyboarded back in 2017, maybe around the time Adventure Time wrapped up production, as the 2017 Crewniverse sign had a drawing from Adam Muto of, guess what? Watermelon Steven wearing a bandana. Spoilers in disguise. Almost 2 years before we see it on TV. Alright, so going into the episode, we pick up where Together Alone left off. Stevani held captive in the prison tower. We see that Stevani can summon 2 shields at once, which may be due to the fusion having more energy than Steven alone. The video game Save the Light features Stevani being able to create 2 bubbles at the same time for their party. Now, it appears that gem weapons dissipate against the prison tower's walls, considering how Stevani's shields dissolved rather than pushing them back. Steven's monologue of this mission reminds us that he's still only 14 years old. All of the events of Season 2's latter half, up to where we are now, weren't even a full year in the show's time. The Cluster, Jasper, the Zoo, going to Homeworld, the Trial, Reunited, all of that may have only been a few months in the show's time. Steven has been through so much. We discover Steven has better control of his mind powers, being able to pinpoint where he wants to go all the way from another galaxy. This adds up with Reunited, Steven being able to contact the Cluster immediately after falling asleep. Steven finds himself on Mask Island, in the body of a Watermelon Steven. We last saw Mask Island and the Watermelons at the end of Super Watermelon Island. The island is now ripped in half in the aftermath of Malachite and Alexandrite's brawl, alongside the Cluster beginning to emerge. Now, it makes sense that Steven would possess a Watermelon Steven, as he is their creator, so he has an established connection with them already. He hasn't possessed anyone else currently on the planet. As Steven observes the melons, he mistakes what appears to be a moment of prayer for once again sacrificing himself for a higher being. In Super Watermelon Island, that being was Malachite. Also, can we talk about this poor melon bird attempting to fly and having his melon guts all over the ground? God, it's so brutal. Now, Mask Island and the Watermelon Stevens have been split into 2 tribes. a pacifist tribe that promotes peace with their hug stance everywhere they go, complete with a star on their chest similar to the crystal gems, and an aggressive, hands-on warrior tribe that marks themselves with eye black. As Steven attempts to get logs for his boat back to Beach City, we see how these two tribes handle conflict. The pacifist Star Melons, not letting go of their hugging stance, walks through the warrior melons, who are equipped with shields and weapons. One pacifist even paints a star on a warrior, seemingly forcing their ideals onto an opposing force in hopes of success. Doesn't that sound familiar? This also may be why the guards of the warrior tribe have stars painted on them when Steven is brought through their fortress. Now this entire sequence is foreshadowing a greater conflict, but we'll talk about that more in depth at a later time. As Steven begins to assemble the boat, both tribes come together, uniting for a bigger purpose, helping Steven get back to Beach City. Again, might be familiar or something else we've seen for upcoming episodes. As Steven travels back to Beach City, he's attacked by a melon shark. Now once more, Steven sacrificing his path home to handle a melon that's clearly supposed to be a great white shark, and handling it peacefully may clue us in for what's going to happen in the season finale. Steven losing a leg and arm may be a nod to the many times Finn lost his arm in Adventure Time. As Watermelon Steven hopelessly floats in the ocean, he's found by Lion. It's clear at this point Lion can sniff out Steven's mere presence, his astral form. His mental link with Steven and what used to be Pink Diamond must go beyond a physical presence. The fact that Lion's able to detect who Steven is possessing may be a very valuable asset down the line. Now let's talk about escapism. While it's sung by AJ Michalka, aka Stevani, who's obviously made up of both Steven and Connie, the ones who are currently trapped right now and want to be free, escapism was ultimately sung by no one. At least, not the context we were expecting. It was very much used in a way that Love Like You was utilized at the end of the episode Bubbled, being used in the place of dialogue. Especially since the way AJ sings it is very different from how Stevani themselves sung Here Comes a Thought. Notice that Bismuth is actually repairing Steven's house, the half of which was destroyed is completely covered. So yeah, seeing the house back to normal and lecturing a homeworld was definitely a fluke. And I do hope Bismuth is rebuilding the house to accommodate her, Peridot, and Lapis. Also notice how Greg and Bismuth don't actually talk, again, saving the budget. Now Steven illustrating the current situation back on Homeworld in sand, only for no one to understand and then writing out, "Help, we need backup," leading to them finally being able to understand, is similar to Bubble Buddies, where the exact same thing pretty much happened with Onion. Lion, Greg, and Bismuth crowding around Steven as he slips out of the Watermelon Steven's body is framed exactly like the ending of Super Watermelon Island. And now Steven waking up back in his body on Homeworld, remarking, "Guess we'll see what happens," is a very meta line to the audience. Yes, Steven, I guess we will see what happens. Oh, if only we didn't have to wait 2 weeks. Overall, it was a somber episode, yet it still accomplished its goal. It set up the 1-hour season finale, and if you ask me, I would rather have 11 minutes of Steven going back to Earth through Watermelon Steven and contacting Bismuth, Greg, and Lion that way than have 5 minutes of the season finale encompass such a thing. Get it out the way now so we can have a more focused season finale. This was the best use of the show being storyboard driven. It was able to convey a story without dialogue being said, and it was nice to see the Watermelon Stevens again. At the end of the day, this episode was already written when the episode title came out 8 months in advance, when the song premiered on the podcast over a year in advance. It was out of the crew's control, and it was out of the episode's control. All we can do is look to Cartoon Network and wonder, why did you hold on to these episodes for so long? But hey, on the bright side, this may mean a shorter hiatus in the future. Ultimately, Steven Bomb, weekly episodes, hiatus or no hiatus, I feel as if the majority of people would have been underwhelmed by this episode simply because there are no diamonds. There is no Lars. We didn't see Peridot and Lapis's new form. But hey, if the route the story wanted to take was that Steven goes to Bismuth for help, however they get to Homeworld, then really, this is the best route. As soon as he contacted Bismuth, the episode's over. So I'm glad they filled it up with something interesting and worth looking at, digesting, and thinking over. But what do I know? I guess I'm just a shill. What did you guys think of this episode? Love it, hate it, let us know in the comments down below. You can also tweet your thoughts to us at RoundtableVids, and for my own hot takes, and there's plenty whenever a new episode airs, you can find me at AwestruckVox. We're also on Instagram. If you want out the Roundtable grow, you can either become a member of this channel or support us on Patreon. Get access to exclusive perks. Link in the description. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, share, and if you're new here, subscribe. Hit that bell for notifications to stay in the loop with all things Steven. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have an awesome day. AwestruckVox, out.